Wow, that was the most brilliant video I've ever made. And I didn't hit the record button. Am I recording now? Yes, sir. This is exciting. If this doesn't get your blood a-pumping, nothing will. 42 inches. And for once, I just had this sitting around. It's straight, not propeller twisted or anything. It's going to make a nice little Comanche bow. Little 42-incher. Got some deep thoughts to think about. The first one, I'm going to go up rising deepness. The first one is, when you're cruising down the road on your motorbike, you're doing about 35, and you get a sudden flat in the back, flat tire, they get squirrely. Fortunately, it didn't blow until I got almost home. Kind of upset. You'd think a tire should last, or an inner tube should last longer than 50 years. They're not making them like they used to. Hopefully the back tire is dry rotted. It'll give me an excuse to buy a new one. And instead of the 3x18, I'm going to go with 3.5x18 to make it look faster. Wish I had a center stand on it. That's modern world, my friends. Back when all motorcycles had center stands, they all had kickstarters. Now, nothing has a kickstarter, basically, or a center stand. I was curious, how many motorcycles produced in 2024, different kinds, not how many, come with a center stand? And I think there was only 2 or 3 motorcycles that came with center stands. And then a small group of ones where you can attach one if you wanted to. Center stands are so handy because you can change tires. You know, patch a flat or something like that. You just pop it up there, and it's not hard. You know a technique. Take the front wheel off, kind of sits back because the weight's back there, or take the back tire off and it sits on the front. Center stands are wonderful. Then they have to get a milk crate or something and stick that thing on there. Maybe tie it to a beam so it doesn't tip over and scratch the paint. The next thing is, this is interesting. And it led to a, you know how you can start off on one topic and then it goes off in another? I was looking for this book I wrote that everyone should have a copy. And full disclosure, it was tough because it was literally made from a notebook, scanned and then sent to Amazon where they kind of produce it on demand. And because it was made on a notebook, it freaked out the robot, for lack of a better term. And the margins are screwy. Because it was made on a notebook, it counted the edges of the paper as the margins. And so it is what it is. Just consider that the blank space around it, around the writing and those wonderful diagrams, wonderful hand-drawn diagrams. Again, this was made from literally my notebook. You know, yeah. I get a few bucks from each one sold, so this is my only pledge drive. I've never said go to my Patreon or do this or that or the other thing, but yeah, consider buying one of my books. Going to other channels and saying, that is a good read. The next thing that led from that is I was talking to the person that replaced me as a manager of the nature preserve. I managed a nature preserve on Little Traverse Bay, public beach, trail system, education center for 27 years. And my replacement, Keith, actually worked for me. He's a great guy. Hello, Keith. You're probably watching this. And it led me into thinking it's kind of weird in a way. I never saw any sunrises. We were on Little Traverse Bay on the western shore of Michigan, the eastern shore of Lake Michigan. That's weird in itself. And I got to thinking, because we buzzed straight across, we are now at the same latitude, just on the other side of the state. You know, sunset, sunrise. And sunsets are kind of an ending, and sunrises are kind of a beginning. And it's weird because I went through the majority of my life watching endings, and now that I'm going towards the ending, I know it sounds grim, but it's life. I'm watching beginnings. I don't know if there's actually something very philosophical in that, but it's just kind of cool to think about. It's also reversed. You know, you get the sunsets, you get there well before, watch it set, and then after it sets, after the orb is gone, then it lights up. And so I have to keep remembering I need to get to the sunrise well before, because the colors happen before the orb pops up. See, I'm not trained yet. And then that got me to thinking, because, well, actually, there was something that happened recently in my inner circle, life or death. And if you go a circle out, there's a lot of death happening. There is too much. And that got me to thinking, you know, the whole notion of when you're young, I want to do this. I don't care about when I'm old, you know. And then you reach that point where you are older, retirement age, let's say, and then you start thinking, wow, in my case, I could have gone 8 more years and I would have had a military pension. I've got 12 years in. Some of it's National Guard. I could have stayed in civil engineering instead of switching over to geology. I would have been an engineer, probably good pension. When I took the job at Thornswift Nature Preserve, I was also offered directorship of a big nature center in Lansing, and, you know, when it rains, it pours. What the heck is up with that? Also offered the earth science position at Jackson High School. Hey, Andy, who taught at Jackson High School. Pension, you know. But I would have been in a different place, physically, and I like this place. I really do. And you think, if I did all that, right now at 63, I'm going to be 63 on the 28th of this month. Life would be a lot easier. But the trade-off would have been, I wouldn't have had that interesting, satisfying, fulfilling life of adventure I've had up to this point. And nothing lasts forever, so I got to believe in my heart of hearts that you make your decisions, you go through with them, you do what you do, and you live with the consequences. And you don't think of your life just in terms of from now on. You definitely have to think of it from now back and come up with the idea that it was worth it. If the worst happens and I wind up living under a bridge or building a camper in my pickup truck and living in the woods somewhere, hey, you know, que sera, sera. I had a good run, and I'm not going to complain about it not lasting forever, because nothing lasts forever. What else? I think that's about it. I don't need to tie you up too much longer. I almost forgot Steve and his 68-inch longbow. Now, this morning I was rambling on about, well, I wouldn't send you back a 68-inch longbow. But there's always extenuating circumstances. Turns out, I forgot, he probably told me before, but I forget things. It's got a 30-inch draw length. And so a 30-inch draw length on a 68-inch bow, it kind of brings it back into a 65, 66-inch bow at a 27, 28-inch draw length. It's just scaled up. Plus, this bow has a tremendous amount of sentimental value. So it's not just all about speed, it's about preserving this friend of his. And even though the sinews weight, and it's probably a very narrow bow. Osage longbows can be very narrow near the end. Even though the sinew might not gain at any speed, but you might, you know, 30-inch draw length. There's a lot of power in there. It would preserve that bow. It would keep that friend of his, you know, going for years more. Bows break. They do. And aged bows break. You know, they have certain number of flexes they can have in them. And by sinew backing it, you're going to extend that life. So, yeah, go for it. I changed my answer. It's not all about performance. Although, again, 30-inch draw length kind of changes things a little bit. Now I am done. I'll bring the book back. On Amazon. Have a good one, and thank you for watching.